What are the 5 things to watch for in 2023? Today on Political Access, we're going to go through what I think are the major things to be looking for in the year ahead. So I will put up some articles that discuss what I'm talking about, and of course the links will be below in the description. The first thing is in the U.S. House, and we're going to get a taste of it right at the beginning of the year, where we see who the new speaker is. And it's probably going to be Kevin McCarthy, but we got to see how much support he's going to get, how many defections will there be, who's going to get which committee chair spots. And then once all that is settled, then we got to see how McCarthy, or whoever it is, runs the House. What kind of legislation will they bring to the floor? And how are they going to handle going after Joe Biden? Because we know they're going to want to start inquiries. There's going to be subpoenas, probably to go after Hunter Biden, possibly Joe himself, maybe for the Afghanistan withdrawal. Whenever the opposing party takes a little bit of power, they're going to make sure they use it to their advantage. And they're going to have to see what sticks. I'm sure Biden does have some stuff that needs to be investigated, so it will be good to get a little bit of balance in some of that stuff. But are they going to go really far with it? Are they going to try to do an impeachment? I would think they're not going to do that, but maybe they do find some evidence and they go in that direction. But in the meantime, it will be divided government, and in the Senate, there will still be judicial appointments happening, and we'll see if we get any decent legislation for the American people, but I'm not holding my breath. Now, the second thing to look for next year is everything related to Donald Trump. He's already announced his candidacy for 2024. He does seem to have lost a little bit of momentum in the polling when he goes up against someone like Ron DeSantis. And also, the January 6th panel has recommended criminal charges against Donald Trump. So it's not likely, but we have to see if anything becomes of that. And then we got to see what Donald Trump actually does with his campaign. There's still almost 2 years to go. So we don't know when he might pick a running mate. We don't know which states he's going to target, how he's going to craft his messaging, who he would hire to manage his campaign, how he's going to deal with raising money and donors, plus all the barrage of negative media coverage that he's certain to get. Even though the media does not like him, they also can't get enough of him. And even though Democrats want to keep him from running again, they should actually want to prop him up and run against him. Because in 2022, in the midterms, most of the Trump candidates in critical swing states, they didn't pan out. So I would think Democrats would love to run against Donald Trump. But then again, in 2016, they thought he would be easy to beat, and he ended up winning. So I'm sure it's going to be more of a circus. We'll also have to see how his health goes, how the polling goes. There's plenty to look at with Donald Trump in the coming year. The third thing to look at for next year will be the economy. All things related to politics will be critical. Everything from the legislation in Congress, to the war in Ukraine, to immigration, to crime. However, the overall economic conditions, that's going to be very telling. Now, even in the recent midterms, most Americans were unsatisfied with the economy. Inflation, gas prices, the shortage of baby formula, the semiconductor shortage, there's plenty there. Maybe even the potential rail worker strike. There were a couple positive indicators as well, like the unemployment rate, but there's a lot of stuff economy-wise under the hood. And if we head into a substantial recession, if the housing market collapses or stocks take a major dip, unemployment could sharply rise, and it could be a real mess. Not that it's not a real mess now in a lot of ways, but the economy is going to tell us a lot about which way the political winds might be blowing heading into 2024. Now, even though the economy wasn't great in the midterms, the Democrats did not get wiped out, so the economy is not everything. And then you also have to wonder about things like COVID making a comeback. There's a myriad of different factors in play, and if the economy does not markedly improve by the end of the year, that is going to be bad for Biden heading into a re-election year. Now that brings me to the fourth thing to take a look at for next year, and that is everybody other than Donald Trump in the 2024 presidential election. Is Joe Biden actually going to run? How is his health going to be? Is he going to keep Kamala Harris as his running mate? Would he face a primary challenger? Well, as of right now, it looks like it will be Biden running again, and he's going to keep Kamala Harris and not face any substantial primary challengers. But that's only as of right now. 6 to 10 months from now, things could definitely change. Of course, if the economy doesn't pan out, or if there's a big scandal with Biden, I could certainly see a challenger jumping in, probably from his left. So that is another potential storyline in the works. Now, on the Republican side, who else is going to jump into the race? Is Ron DeSantis going to throw his hat in? And if he does, how long would he wait? And then what would Donald Trump's response be? Or is it possible there could be a Trump-DeSantis ticket? And how would Florida residents feel about Ron DeSantis having to backburner the state in order to run for president, especially after he just won re-election? And what other notable Republicans would jump into the race? You might have some establishment favorites, Nikki Haley, maybe Mike Pence, Chris Christie. Could someone like Liz Cheney jump into it? How about Tulsi Gabbard? I can't begin to predict how it's going to go, but I'm leaning on the side of it's going to be chaos. Trump's brand is damaged, so I don't think people are going to be shy about trying to challenge him. But Trump is not known to go gracefully, and if he doesn't win the nomination, it's hard to imagine him just stepping aside. But he is getting a little bit older. Anything is possible. I'm not going to make any hard predictions. So there's a lot of potential for a lot of crazy scenarios in these 2024 primaries as we head into the second part of 2023. Now, the last thing to watch for next year, these are going to be the 2023 elections. Although there's no typical U.S. House or Senate elections, there are a slew of mayoral elections here. You can take a look at these on Wikipedia. Probably the highest profile on here would be Mayor of Chicago. But aside from these elections and some local elections, there's 3 governor's elections coming up. Mississippi, Louisiana, and I think the most notable one will be Kentucky. Mississippi should probably be an easy Republican hold if the incumbent governor Tate Reeves runs for re-election there. Louisiana has a Democratic governor, John Bel Edwards. He is term limited out, so there's going to be a big battle for the Republicans to try to recapture that governor's mansion there. I would think they're slightly favored to do so, but it's a little bit too early to say. But I think the biggest prize will be in Kentucky. That also has a Democratic governor, Andy Beshear. He's viewed as more moderate. It is a very red state, so he has to try to appear to govern that way at least. The state legislature is overwhelmingly Republican, so there is a way to get around Andy Beshear. But of course, he's going to make appointments. He's going to have a lot of power, even aside from the state legislature. He nearly won election the first time, defeating incumbent Republican Matt Bevin. He's the son of a former 2-term governor, and I think he's going to be tough to beat. It's a very red state, but there's already a ton of Republicans lining up to challenge him. And we know how this might go. A hectic Republican primary where they tear each other down. Eventually somebody wins. Meanwhile, Andy Beshear is sitting on the side. And Republicans are going to think they should be able to win this because it's such a red state. But I could see Andy Beshear holding on. He's relatively popular, and we're not sure who the nominee is going to be. It could be Daniel Cameron, the Attorney General of Kentucky. But even if it's him, I think it's going to be a very competitive race. The primary is in May, so that race should be starting to heat up in only a few months from now. So 3 governor's elections, those are something to take a look at. Plenty of mayor's elections to take a look at as well. And those are the 5 things to take a look at for next year. Those are the 5 things I'm going to be watching the most. There's plenty of other little things you could mention. And there's always going to be some surprises that come up. Retirements, special elections, scandals. That is just how it goes in politics. But let me know down below in the comments. What are you most going to be watching next year? And have I given you some ideas on things to take a look at? Let me know down below. And on your way out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I will see you on the next video.